it's a leap of faith, like they say. Like you have no proof that this is going to work. I literally quit a job that's paying very well to do this on my own.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Arrivals. Thank you for being here. And before we get started, I wanted to quickly share something for any fellow podcasters listening. There's a virtual event coming September 29th and 30th called Drop the Mic Podcasting Where the World is on Fire. It's all about creating connections and keep creating thoughtful, meaningful content when there's a lot happening in the world. So if you're a podcaster and this sounds interesting to you, I'll leave the link in the show notes. And just to be transparent, I'm an affiliate for the event. So if you decide to sign up through my link, I may earn a commission with no extra cost to you. So I hope you join us there. And let's get into today's episode. This is your first time here. In this podcast, I talk with first-generation immigrant women about what it really takes to build a life in a new country. My guest today is Noam Wolf, an entrepreneur, musician, and founder of Sunny Entertainment, a live entertainment company based in Los Angeles. She's originally from Israel, and Noam came to the U.S. to pursue a career in music, but along the way, she built a business from the ground up. She combined performance, music, sales, and AI to create a company that now performs at weddings or corporate events across the country. In this episode, we talk about her decision to immigrate to the US, starting a business without a safety net, navigating visas, raising a bilingual daughter, and why, despite embracing AI in almost every part of her business, she believes that the creative side of music should remain deeply human. Here's my conversation with Noam. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm very excited to dig into your life and all of the work that you're doing. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm great. It's good to see you again, and it's good to be here. I'm really excited to have this conversation and share a little bit more about my story.
Yes, me too. Why don't we kick off for you describing yourself a little bit for people that don't know you?
Sure. So I'm Noam. I just turned 36. I moved to the US from Israel about almost 10 years ago. And I am a musician. I own a live entertainment company that we do live music for events, corporate, and weddings. I also specialize in using AI to manage businesses and sales and operations. And I'm also a mom and a wife, and I live in Los Angeles, California.
Great. Thank you. And I want to start talking about your company, about Sunny Entertainment. You perform around the country, and like you said, using AI for your business and raising your child at the same time. Um, I'm very interested in how the company started running like a business, because a lot of people, as you know, dream about being musicians, but very few people actually accomplish it as their full-time job. So I'm curious how this really kicked off as a business for you.
Yeah. Well, it's true. A lot of musicians, they hope to get gigs, through connections and through networking opportunities for themselves, but a lot of the times it's not enough to make a living. One of the unique gifts that I got in my life is having both sides. Like I have the artist side and I have a business oriented side. And I also married someone who's just the same as me, an artist who has a business savvy, mind. And so I always was a musician. I always sang. I'm a vocalist. I write and I release music of my own original music. So I always performed, and I had a lot of experience in performing for other companies who do weddings and corporate parties. And I've done that back in Israel as well. When I moved to the US, I did not know anyone. I had to start all over, creating connections with people and, event planners. And I worked for a different company that does it for almost 5 years, which during that time, I just took all these notes in my mind about what I like, what I don't like, how Americans communicate, what is okay to say, what isn't okay to say, and like how they handle things. And after all these mental notes, I just came to a conclusion at some point that I have all the tools that I need and all the knowledge in order to run a company like that on my own. So basically, I left my job, and before I left my job, I started investing in like the whole platform, a website, domain, developing the idea of the business, the products. I shot a promo video of one of the bands, and it started just building slowly, slowly. That was a side hustle during the time I still had a job. And then when all the operational system was ready, I quit and I dived into it just full time, which is what I'm doing since.
Yeah, that's awesome. Before in Israel, what type of music was it? Because I understand that you focus on jazz, right?
Yeah,
Why?
this band, this specifically is a jazz band. But in Israel, I've done a lot of other things, mostly in events. They want you to sing in Hebrew. So it's a mix of Hebrew and English. I've done a lot of different genres, but my original music was always around the pop rock, alternative, and then later on electronic. More in my newer music, it's more electronic influences too. But I really do love jazz. I always love jazz, and that's what my husband does too as a saxophone player. Um, we built this business based on our love for jazz and love performing it live and how it captures the moment. And people get in the room and they see us live and they're like captivated. It elevates any room you put us in. It's just automatically making a different ambience, and people remember something special about that event. And it could have been just a regular networking event or an awards night or whatever, but it turns it into a much bigger experience. So we specialize in jazz, but we also develop other products in Sunny Entertainment, which is a talent agency that I'm building. We will be offering also DJs and DJ hybrid products and other dance bands.
Yeah. What is more exciting right now of the business for you? Is either performing or more the back end and how things work?
Well, I love performing, but I love that I am able to make money on my own, with doing what I love and just handle all the different departments of a business. Because when you build something like that from scratch, you have like the marketing aspect, you have the sales aspect, you have operations. You have to like find a way to do all of that. I didn't have when I started the budget to like hire a whole team to manage it for me. So I came up with creative ways, especially using AI, to be in charge of all of these departments and manage it myself. And it's a lot of juggling, but I'm learning so much. And there's a lot of information online and with other professionals who I can learn from. So it's been a really like a big learning curve. But I'm really enjoying it that I'm able to like succeed in something that I'm doing on my own. I don't have to have an employer who pays me a check at the end of the month.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you use AI for different purposes, but give me an example of the things that you're learning with it right now and how you use it the most. And for like a music business, we all use it in different senses for our personal lives, but what is the main thing that is helping you for the business specifically?
Okay, so there are several things that AI is saving my life and just giving me back hours every week. And I'm going to say that most of it is administrative tasks. If it's, sending a text message to every new lead that left their details on my website and adding them to the CRM, and then sending an email and adding them to a funnel, which means they will get like a welcome email and then later on an email next month that announces the new product that we have. If it's creating proposals, every time a client is asking for a proposal, I have like this system in Claude. I just have to give it the date, the location, the start and end time, and a couple of details about the client, like email and phone number. And then based on the product that I tell it, it knows the list of my pricing of all the different products that we offer. And it generates a beautiful proposal based on my rules with my logo, just the same as I would do it. But instead of spending an hour and 30 minutes on it to make sure it's perfect, it takes me 7 minutes instead. And that's amazing. It's saving me so much time. And I'm also using it for reports, for analyzing data. If it's check my Instagram account and like tell me which posts are working better than others. and what hooks work. Like you can just use it in so many ways. Follow-ups on clients, automatically after, if it's been 2 weeks and they haven't responded back, like an automatic follow-up, um, outreach campaigns, email marketing, like just everything. Yeah.
Right. And what about for the creative side of things for your own music?
The creative side, I leave it to humans. I don't think AI has yet caught up in being, as good as humans in that aspect yet. But the only thing I would use it, if anything, is like to look for trends in the market and find out what songs are very popular in the wedding industry. Now people request them more and more at events, and then I can, add those songs to our song list. That would be the only creative way I can use it. But anything else, we have a band leader, my husband, who's also the saxophone player. He writes all the music sheet, the arrangements, and unfortunately, there is still no tool that can replace someone who, studied it their entire lives.
What are your favorite events to perform at?
I love corporate events, honestly. It's easy. It's usually less emotional involvement, but of the client, they would just like trust us to do our professional work because we do it all the time. They would not, request specific songs most of the time. They will just like tell us to run with our set list. They may say, okay, they will pick songs that are plain language, you know. But other than that, they trust us, and the energy is just like we come, we perform, people come to us, shake hands, we leave, we're happy. It's different from weddings that, sometimes it's like a ceremony and a cocktail and a reception, and the bride and groom are highly involved and they want a lot of changes in the song list, and special requests. So yeah, it's just I love the corporate world, but we enjoy performing in weddings as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. And what is next for the business, or just curious on how do you see it evolving with time?
I see it evolving. I have a big, vision to what I want the talent agency to look like and offer multiple products of each and have, many events booked a month. Right now, it's mainly my band, Sunny Jazz Band, and then I offer also solo musicians like a duo or a trio, smaller options and versions of that band. But then later on, I'm planning to, grow that agency and offer also DJs and DJ hybrid products, which is DJ with live musicians performing over the music of the DJ, and other new products that are maybe international entertainment in other languages, and just LED instruments like LED saxophone player, LED percussion set for like events that need more high energy festival style appearance. So yeah, I have a lot of ideas, and I can't wait to build it.
That's awesome. How competitive? I'm curious. Is this market? And also, I mean, I'm sure like there's a lot of American bands. So how have you felt that people, at least in the US, have received your business and the fact that you bring something else internationally as well?
Well, the band right now only performs in English unless the client asks for specifically, Hebrew music, which happened a couple of times. Um, I had a lot of insecurities when I moved here that my English wasn't good enough, that they're gonna hear my accent and they're gonna know that I'm not from here. And there are things that I'm missing because I wasn't born here, and I did not grow up on like American classics, and so I have a different knowledge base on music than someone who actually was born and raised in the US. But the US is also so big, and I realized there's just so many different types of Americans. Some who grew up on mostly country, and some who like jazz and blues, and some who are like only strictly like EDM and pop. And I think that after I did a couple of events, I noticed that nobody knows I'm not from here. And we don't get deep enough to actually know where I'm from and what's my story. It's mostly professional, and I think that it exceeded my expectations because I was worried it's going to be a problem for me. But to answer your question about the competitive market, especially in LA and Southern California, it is mainly based on connections and relationships. It's everything in this business. So if you have event planners that you worked with and they love you, they will bring every couple, every client to you and ask for a proposal from you for that specific event.
Right.
Yeah, so that is a relationship that, you need to maintain. And sometimes it's hard to like to start a relationship with that planner if she already has a live entertainment that she's working with, a live entertainment company. But I'm doing my best. I do a lot of outreach. I try cold calling. I reach out to planners I worked with before through other companies, and yeah, and slowly it's coming together.
Yeah. I imagine, like you're saying, it's a lot of mouth to mouth still, even though you're making a lot of efforts to get to new people. Do you still get nervous when you go on stage?
Every time. Yeah. Every time. Yeah. I always have, some worries that I'm gonna forget the lyrics or my foot's gonna get stuck, my heel is gonna get stuck on the stage or something. But eventually it always goes well. And it's also nice to have our band members. They're all, musicians. They're my friends. We perform many times together. Some of us even went to music school together. It's nice to have that environment around me. It's very supportive. And especially my husband is with me on stage. So that's calming as well.
I want to go back into how you got into music. And you mentioned that you always wanted to do this, but how did it start, this passion for singing and back in Israel?
I was born into a very musical family. So I was exposed to music at a very early age, and I was encouraged to take an instrument and learn how to use it and how to play. And then I accompanied myself singing with that instrument. It was guitar, and then later on keyboard as well. And then at a very young age, my mom sent me to like auditions. She recognized that I had like a talent and she wanted to nurture it, which I appreciate. But it wasn't enough. Like she also cared for me to finish school and, push me to get good grades and stuff like that. So I could have been a lot like bigger. I could have maybe been like a pop star or something if I'd kept on going to auditions and nurture it. But we kind of put a stop to it at a very young age so I can focus on like school. It is what it is. I got to where I'm at now, so I'm not like regretting it. But I always loved music. Then maybe when I was 15, I started a band and we started performing around town and like they went to a few competitions that are like national, like inside Israel. And we got nice exposure. So people like recognized us and it was great. I released a lot of original music back then in Israel. And then I guess the dream back then was to make a living from my original music. And then life happened and I moved and I had to start from scratch in a different place. And later on I became a mom and the dreams kind of just change shape. So later on it just became for me my dream now to make a living from what I love. I love singing, I love performing, I love being with musicians around me. And that's something that's also easy for me to sell to people because I have a ton of experience and I really do love what I do. So it makes it easy and it doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah, since you've started, that's what you wanted to do. I know you had other jobs, but nothing has felt like even close enough to performing and working with music.
Yes, it is my biggest passion, but I also have other talents and other abilities. And I found that I'm really, really good at sales, which has always been my day job. Like aside from performing and writing and rehearsing, I worked as the sales manager and vice president of sales at many different companies. And I definitely had a talent there too. And I loved it. I loved the feeling of like closing deals and working with people, talking to people on the phone and face to face. But it's not the same. I mean, I remember my mom took me to like this test that helps you determine what you want to do in life. It's like some kind of a counseling agency, and they ran a test on me for 3 days, and they checked a lot of different things like shapes and memory and like language skills. And eventually, they gave me this full report, and they told me you should not be working for someone else. You should be your own boss. And you need to find a way to combine your biggest two loves because it's exactly 50-50 the way that your mind works. You need to combine sales and closing deals and making money with music, with your art. And that is exactly what I'm doing today. It's been like 15 years ago. So it's funny how things work out. But yeah, I mean, I really am enjoying what I do, and I work for myself.
What's the part about sales? I mean, I know that it involves a lot of relationships and really packaging something, but a lot of people don't like it.
I wish I knew to tell you. I have this fire when I meet new people, like this passion in me. And I love talking. I love to hear other people talk and bounce back in off each other's energy. So you do that a lot in sales, especially on the phone. And then the feeling of success when you close a deal and someone is like convinced by you and they were able to make a decision that's maybe benefiting their lives afterwards, it's a huge feeling. So I love that. And I also love the all the ins and outs of a business. Just like I always was a person that likes to sit on Excel sheets of my expenses and income every month and calculate how much total do I earn and how much do I spend and do I have any plus and can I save money? My parents like really raised me to be on top of my finance. They showed me how they invest, and they showed me how they call, the phone company once every few months when they raise the bill, and they negotiate with them on the phone to bring the bill down. And it just gave me a lot of, first of all, confidence around money, to speak about money and to request for money for things that I do that I think I deserve money back, and negotiate and just, and yeah, and I think that helped me a lot to be good in sales in that world, because you have to feel comfortable to request money from people for something. You have to really believe what you sell.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say that the fact that you love what you sell, it's incredibly important here as well, and that your parents really taught you that financial part. Um, when you were back in Israel, was it always a dream to go to the US specifically, or how did you imagine that for yourself?
I always wanted to live in the States. I did always feel like I have this inner voice telling me, like, oh, like this country is too small. Like you should go out there and see what else is there. And from watching films, Hollywood movies and TV shows, I really liked the idea of America. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but it came across as the land of opportunities, which I do agree with now that I live here for almost 10 years. I really love the fact that I have good English, and I can get along with people in other countries because of that. Like I have my communication skills, and I really wanted to give it a try and be far away from home and start fresh, and to prove myself and others that I'm worthy. This was kind of like a dream, but I was too scared to take that step, honestly, on my own. And then I met my husband. Well, back then, my boyfriend at music school. And we dated for a year. And after that year, he got a full scholarship to Berklee College of Music in Boston. And I saw him getting on a plane and leave for 2 years. And I was like, I did not think we're going to succeed this, but we planned on doing long distance. And we just made it work. And after 1 year, I found a legal way to move to the United States, and I lived right by him in New Hampshire. And since then, we've been in the US. We then got married and we traveled to get here to Los Angeles, but it's been an incredible experience. I think it's very big and it's very courageous to take everything that you have and say goodbye to it and start from scratch. And I did that twice with him. And it teaches you so much about yourself, and it really strengthened our relationship. Me and him, we are everything we had for each other. We didn't have any parents here, no cousins, no friends. So you also get like a really strong glue for your relationship if it's meant to be. I don't know, maybe for some people it's the opposite way, but we really saw like, okay, we belong together because we got over all these difficulties. And it just, yeah, it made us stronger, and we got to know each other even better.
Yeah, absolutely. When you go through all of those changes with someone else, it's a whole different thing. And during that long distance, I'm curious, how did you maintain your relationship during a year?
We met a few times during that year. He had like a winter break, so he came to visit me in Israel. And in the middle of each of his semesters, I flew to Boston. It was expensive, But I wanted to see him, and we just made it work. We talked every day on FaceTime, and video calls, and sent each other voice memos. And it's very hard with like, it's not like living in New York and LA. It's not a 3 hour difference. This is like, we're talking about back then it was 7 hours difference in Boston, and I lived in Tel Aviv. And so we only had a very specific window of hours from, I think, 4 p.m. my time in Israel that he wakes up until I go to sleep. But yeah, I don't know how he made it work, because I really thought he's gonna meet some, cool chick in Berkeley College, and they're gonna hit it off and he's gonna leave me, but it didn't happen.
When you decided to really push and move closer to him, how did you find that opportunity? And also, what was it like? Were you the first in your family to leave Israel?
Yeah, I was. There's this like program, an organization called the Jewish Agency in Israel, and they're in charge of keeping a connection that's strong between the Jewish people in America, in diaspora, to the Israelis, basically. And it's meant to bridge the gap. And so they take a lot of people, young people, and put them in like Jewish summer camps from Israel to hang out with the kids and teach them and be counselors at that camp. Or they put them for 2 years on a emissary program. And so I went during my military service. I went to a 2 month summer camp in upstate New York through the Jewish Agency, and they kept emailing me every year afterwards. You should go on the 2 year emissary program. You should go on the 2 year program. And I said no, because I didn't see myself moving across the ocean on my own. But then when Avi, my husband, got that scholarship and moved to Boston, it suddenly became an opportunity. And it gave me courage, because I'm going to have someone there, even if his school was a drive away. And we also did not have any assurance where I'm going to live. Like, they could have put me in Alabama, and they could have put me in, Arkansas, like, and it would be very far. It's better to live in Israel far away from him when I have like my support system than to live somewhere where I have no one. But we got really lucky, and I asked for, to be located in that area, and there was a spot that just opened up in New Hampshire, and that was an hour away from his school. And I interviewed to the Jewish Federation of New Hampshire, with 10 other people, and I just felt in my heart that they're going to say yes and they're going to take me, and that's how it happened. And then I moved. We moved in together like right away, and started a life here. And I can't believe this is how things turned around. It's insane.
Yeah, especially because New Hampshire is not a place where a lot of immigrants move for the first time.
There's also like a very small Jewish community there. I mean, it exists, but it's very small comparing to like Florida, New York, California. Had a lot of work there.
What was it like there once you moved?
Well, I was like the representative of Israel for the state of New Hampshire. So I met the governor, and I went to speak in like Dartmouth Ivy League College and UNH, and I worked with different Jewish young adult groups, different ages, and I went to speak in the Jewish Hebrew Sunday schools. And I did lectures about Israeli music, and I performed in many events, and I spoke about politics, and I just basically I was there to give them another point of view of someone who actually came from the inside, because it's very easy to have opinions on stuff when you're far away. And so I came to basically bridge that gap and make them feel closer to Israel, which is the only country for Jewish people in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did the decision happen of moving to LA once he finished his program at Berkeley for both of you?
We talked about it during the time, like from the moment I came to New Hampshire, we already knew that the goal is to get to LA, because that's where the music scene is. There's a lot of opportunities for musicians there. And it's also good for events, for gigs, because of the very long summer. And I knew that this is the goal, but we didn't know how it's going to look like. When I finished my 2 year um, emissary program, we flew back to Israel to get married. And then we came back to the US. We took our Honda Civic from 2010, and we drove it from New Hampshire all the way to LA. we did like a honeymoon road trip. So we drove through 16 states, and we saw a lot of like, state parks, and stayed in Airbnbs and RVs, and we just had an amazing experience. And when we finally got here, we found an apartment and we started making connections, and we got our first gig, and it was an incredible 3 months. And then COVID hit and everything shut down. And then like we had to rethink everything because we had no income. There were no events, no weddings, no gatherings, no gigs. And then yeah, we had to just like go backwards many steps. And a lot of our friends left the US and went back to Israel. So yeah, it was tough, but I'm glad we made the way to get here. I think it's where we are supposed to be.
Absolutely. How did you maintain life in general during COVID if there were no events?
We had to be creative on income. Like I went to doing some babysitter work, and my husband had to teach music to a lot of kids were at home, so their parents wanted just something to keep them busy because there was no school or camps. So he would go and physically teach one-on-one classes all around our house, where we lived back then. And from I don't know, working in a restaurant, like we just did a lot of creative jobs to keep us afloat for a little bit. And then when it ended, like we immediately started going at it again to try and get gigs and work on our connections, go to jam sessions and develop relationships with people here from the music industry, because it was a very long time of like nobody did anything, so everyone were hungry for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine. Um, and I want to ask you about your visa situation also. While all of this was happening for you both, because I imagine your husband had a student visa when he was in Berkeley. What are yours?
I had a J1 visa. It's like a exchange of cultures. And that's the visa that I got when I worked as the young emissary. And when that ended and my husband finished at Berkeley, he got an something called OPT, which is like a work authorization that you get after you went to school here. And during the OPT, he was able to work, and I still had another few months at my job. And as soon as I was done and his OPT was done, we applied for an artist visa, the O1 visa. We applied on his name first, and I was his dependent, and I was not allowed to work. That was during the honeymoon. And we planned, to get to LA and then apply on my name as well, because I'm also a musician. So we could both qualify for that visa. But then when we got here, and like the whole process was just so slow, it took over a year and a half, I think, to hear back about my visa. And it was challenging. We had to like use the power of community to survive, to find people that would hire us without a visa for a short time, which you're not supposed to be doing. But it is what it is. We had to survive. And now, I'm a tax paying citizen, not citizen, but like a resident. And after 2 artist visas for each of us, we then applied for the green card on my name, and my husband got it from me as well.
How long did that took for the green card?
From the moment we applied to the green card, it took about a year, or like 11 months, I think, for the whole process. And they lost our file at USCIS, which is something that rarely happens. But when we applied the first time, they sent us the request for more evidence, RFE, I think it's called. And we sent them the correction for what they asked, and then they just disappeared. And we paid for the premium processing, which means we have to hear back within 2 weeks. But we didn't hear back. And then it's been a month and 2 months and 3 months and 4 months, and we got worried, and we started calling them and leaving messages. And we talked to our lawyer, and nobody knew what's happening. And then my lawyer gave me an idea to talk to a representative of where I live. And I reached out to a woman named Luz Rivas, who's representing the Valley, which is where I live in California. And I sent her an email with details about what happened. And 24 hours later, our case was approved.
Wow.
It was incredible. Yeah, I actually saw like how the system can work for me, for someone who lives here, and it was insane. And then just a few months later, until we got like the actual documents and the card. But yeah, it was a long waiting game where, it's very hard to not know where you're going to land, if you have to go back to your country, if they're going to refuse you. or you can stay here and plan a life here. And we already bought a property. We bought a home and we didn't know if we're gonna have to like sell it and move back. So it's a lot of uncertainty in this process. But if you're strong enough to go through it, and I feel like they're making it hard because they only want the strong ones, then you win the life you want, basically.
Yes, and I like to talk about this because it's so stressful and takes a long time, like you're saying, and it puts you in a very difficult position for work. Um, so I'm just curious how you both did it. Now you even have your daughter, and curious to ask you about that as well.
Yeah, she's an American citizen. She just got it. No hard work needed.
Right. And she's 2 years old.
Yeah.
Did you always wanted to be a mom as well?
I knew it's gonna happen at some point, but it's not like I lived to become a mom. I had a lot of like goals and stuff I wanted to do before, like releasing my music and traveling the world and building a strong, stable relationship with a partner. And so I wanted to have all these things, including buying a home. I wanted to have like my own house first before I have a child. And so it was a long list of things to achieve. But when I had her, I was like, why didn't I do it before? Because it's like the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And it makes everything else that happened before she came to this world be like, meh, like it's not important. Like, who was I before? I don't even remember. I only remember myself as Mika's mom.
What is so great about having her? Just describe that a little bit more.
Well, I don't know if it's just her or being a mom, but she specifically is just a gift to this world. She is insanely funny and smart, and she jokes and she talks like sentences of 9 or 10 words, and she just turned 2. She has a big vocabulary in Hebrew and English and some words in Spanish. She's a daughter of 2 musicians, so she sings like 50 songs from start to finish, remembers all the lyrics, and she's always on key. So hearing her and hearing the talent that she has and the abilities that she has, it's like I can't, explain how it just makes my heart full, and I become proud of myself for bringing her to this planet. Um, and also just like you get to fix a lot of wounds that you had from your childhood with yourself, with how people treated you, with your relationship with your parents. You get to experience life again from scratch and see how she looks at the world, and she experiences Universal Studios for the first time, or she experiences going to the beach for the first time, or swimming in the pool. And it's just like humbling and reminds you to put things in perspective and appreciate like the small moments because they are so important. And I was a very cynical person before. Like you would never hear me say something like that. I would be like, hearing a woman says that, I would be like throwing up in my mouth. Like that's so cheesy, but it's true. I don't know what to say. Like when I think of her now, I want to cry from happiness. Like my heart is exploding because she's such a success. Like she's gonna do great things. I know it. Yeah.
She loves music like her parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how does the language have worked with her? And has she been to Israel? How do you teach her about that culture as well?
It is an expensive part of our life, but we have to fly at least once a year to Israel to maintain that relationship. I want her to see her grandparents and cousins and uncles, and everyone that I love are in another country. So we have to do it um, for her and for us. But I really want her to have this relationship with our homeland, especially if we ever plan to go back, which, depends on how things will look in Israel, maybe in a few years. Um, I I think that for language, because we both speak Hebrew to her in our home, she speaks fluently. She has great Hebrew. The challenge is going to be to maintain that when she grows up because a lot of kids here, they want to be like their friends and not like their immigrant parents. I have a lot of worries that she's going to grow up and only speak English with her friends and be like, "Mom, you're embarrassing me. Don't speak Hebrew next to people," or, like not want to be a part of who we are. Like being an Israeli, um, serving in the military and going through the difficulty of living in that country gives you a lot. It shapes you as a person. And she's not going to have any of that. She's going to grow up here where life is fairly easy with a good education system around her and no like suicide bombers and wars every 2 months. And so it's a big like challenge of wanting her to be like myself and my husband and to look like us, be a person that has what we have as a person, some characteristics and experiences like us. But on the other hand, I moved here because I don't want to live that life right now. And I feel like she's gonna have a lot more opportunities than I did growing up here. So yeah, I mean, we're maintaining the language at home and we're surrounding ourselves with a community of Hebrew speaking, friends. They are our family here. We do holidays together and everything. But it's gonna be interesting to see how she will turn out because, she's growing up as an American
Right. Yeah. Even though you're related, just growing up
so
very.
differently. Yeah.
Um, and regarding how you feel in LA, did you mention this community that you have there? Do you plan to stay there? I mean, of course, I know it's very good for your business as well. How do you feel overall living there? Was it a good decision at the end of it?
Yeah. I think for us, for what we were looking for, it is the perfect place to be. What I really love about California is that it's a mixture of all the things that I love. It's good weather, beautiful nature in a close proximity, like a short drive. You can go to lakes and rivers, and you can go snowboarding in the winter, and you can go to the desert, and you can see the beach. And it's all so close by, and it has like this big range, and the city, of course. Um, I love that I have a huge, huge Israeli community here and Jewish community as well. There's many of us here, and we take care of each other. Um, you can see it really in the day-to-day life of, if I had a baby and the girls around me know that I have a girl and they would start bringing me bags of like hand-me-downs, clothes for her and toys for her and diapers, leftover diapers. And like we really support each other. Like when I had a baby, people came over with food that they cooked, and gave me food and ordered lunch for us. And it's the kind of support that I really appreciate because we are alone here. So in that aspect, I think it is the perfect place for us to be. We also like really build a community. So it would be hard for me to leave. But I mean, the only reason I would consider leaving here and moving back to Israel would be my daughter. I want her to, feel the sense of family. And I don't know if she will ever feel it here like deeply, like I know it with multiple cousins and, big dinners and holidays with long table with 40 people. I don't think she's going to experience it here. And so I really hope that one day the situation in Israel will be quieter and more calm and safer. And I will be happy to then, maybe move back or live on in both places, maybe 6 months here, 6 months there, or maybe even just visit like 4 or 5 times a year if the budget allows. Um, so it is a dream, but for now, for the next few years, I definitely see us stay here. We have a lot going on.
Yeah. Aside from your daughter, how do you feel personally about going back or moving somewhere else, maybe at some point?
I don't know if I'll move somewhere else just because I've already done it twice and it takes many years to, find your people and find your spot. It doesn't happen easily. So I don't have the energy in me anymore to do it from scratch. I think if anything, I would move back to a place that I know where people know me and I can use those connections and the ability to speak the same language and mentality, to better my life quicker. So that would be Israel. But yeah, I mean, what you know from the news right now is only a little bit, and it's not a great place to live to raise children right now, in my opinion. I feel like it's very traumatic, and I'm trying to avoid it at least until things change a little bit for the better.
What is one thing that you wish in the US people understood more about Israel, about Tel Aviv, maybe that maybe you still struggle with every time you hear someone talking about the country in general?
I think that many young Americans nowadays They are exposed to their news source from TikTok and from Instagram, and or they watch the news on TV, and there is no actual one source of news that is like consistent with reality from what I experienced, at least, because I know what it feels like to live there and I see how it's being reported in other countries. I feel like there's a lot of like double standard when it comes to Jewish people. Um, I feel like Americans should know that it's a lot about how you were raised at home. And if you heard those Jews, these Jews, they do that, like obviously people, they grew up to be anti-Semitic. And yes, Israel as a country does things, like our government does things that I don't always agree with. But people here have no idea what it means to live as the only democratic country in the Middle East, surrounded by countries who do crazy stuff, like women are not allowed to drive or they murder gay people, things like that are not Western. You guys, like people that live here, don't get it. But the Middle East is it's an intense culture, and if you didn't live there, you don't know how they function and how they roll. Like there are a lot of good, Palestinians, good Israeli Arabs who live in our country and are friends with me, and I worked with them. It's not like a everyone against each other situation. It's not, even though that's what the media is trying to show. There are a lot of Israeli Arabs who live in Israel and love it and get incredible rights, and they are becoming doctors and lawyers, and they're even sitting in the judicial system. One of the Arab judges put an Israeli Jewish prime minister in jail a few years ago. Like that, they have power where they are at. But we also are surrounded with others who just wish to wipe us off the map. And they just don't want Israel to exist at all, which unfortunately it's already a country. It's been, almost 80 years. People have to just go with the situation. That's reality, and we can't argue with it. And it goes for both ways. Like we should just accept that there are two nations here, and it's a difficult conflict, and there hasn't been someone who was able to solve it. I'm really, really hopeful that in the upcoming elections in Israel, which are happening in October 27, we will see a big change, and young people will go up to be in the government, because we right now have a government who's made of a lot of older men, and they don't remember what it is to be, paying rent and to be experiencing the hardships of being a young person in that country. Like you can never afford to buy a house in Israel at my age, not even maybe in 10 years. And just a lot of things that are making it very difficult to live there. And we need a government that's like listening to the people, that's a part of the people. So I hope that people just keep in mind here that it is a conflict that has many, many, many sides, and there isn't one truth. It's not like, oh, it's just Israel is wrong, or oh, only the Palestinians are wrong and they're all terrorists. It's not the case. It's more complex than that. And that needs to be treated that way. People have to have like a little bit of patience to understand, like, I can't have an opinion that's so firm about something I was never a part of. If you didn't grow up in Israel and you had people dying around you all the time in the army, in Gaza, in operations, in the street. We had a time where people carried weapons in the street because terrorists used to attack people and stabbing with knives. Like just a crazy life that if you didn't go through that, you won't understand. So that's what I wish more people would know. Like I don't have any statements that are out loud. This has to be the case for America, because I didn't grow up here. I'm still learning how things work here. And I think it's good to be a little humble in that situation when you don't know what's happening on the other side of the world. And we could all do better in that.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And it's a perception that people think they know, but they don't know. Do you get into a lot of arguments? Not arguments, but just like I sometimes don't even find the energy to talk about to contradict someone about my own country. So it's hard to draw the line for yourself and to say I'm not even going to try to change this person's mind.
I think the only place where I gave up on having that conversation is like the comment section on TikTok and Instagram, because that's where I meet people who are like they don't have a brain. Sorry. Like it's unreasonable to talk to them and waste my energy. I'm a mom. I have a business. I have more important things to do. But when I do have an opportunity, when I perform with another band as a vocalist, and I have band members who think and say out loud things about Palestine or Israel or our situation, and they act as if they know something, I would get highly involved in putting them in their place, because I think it is like my mission here as an Israeli. Um, I feel like it's a part of my job, because people just see us in such a bad way, and we have a lot of good to give. There are a lot of beautiful things about Israelis, and about how this reality shaped us. I think it gives us a major advantage in so many fields in life. And I wish people would recognize it and see it instead of like hating on us. So I try to sometimes make a point. I don't get into a fight and like argue with someone. If I see that their ears are like blocked to my words, I'm just gonna, be like, okay, I wish you all the best. But if I see that there is a room for conversation, I definitely want to have that conversation, because I feel like one talk, even if it's like 5 minutes or 20 minutes, could change the way they look at things, and maybe they will pass it on to other people, like I did my share.
Yeah, absolutely. And whoever listens to this as well, you're doing your share.
I hope so. I hope we have a lot of listeners.
Um, Last few questions. What would you advise to an immigrant that is starting their business or is doubting to start their business in the US specifically? And I know you talked a lot about AI, a lot of ways that you can evolve your own circle to grow it. But personally, what would you say to someone that is struggling just to, because it's such a hard thing to do, and just entrepreneurship in general, but for an immigrant specifically?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say that being an entrepreneur is something I didn't dare to say about myself for many years. Like, I thought it was like audacity to say it out loud. I'm an entrepreneur. No, I always had like a day job and I worked for other people. But entrepreneurship is a characteristic. It's someone who always has new ideas and a drive and wants to make things better and wants to have, all their ideas see life. And I was always that person. Once I had that switch in my mind, it gave me the courage to go and act on it. And I think that if it's not right for everyone, not everyone should be an entrepreneur and start their own business, because you need to really have, a drive for it. If you want to just work 9 to 5, being an entrepreneur is not your path. It's better to maybe work for a company and have like a paycheck. But I think just for the sake of it, just to have, to say that you tried and not to have regrets in life, because you only live once. You should give it a try. If you have a gift, if you're really good at something, or you have an incredible idea, I wouldn't say jump into it right away. Like, have some savings, work on it at night, on the weekends for some time, until you have a platform that's ready to run with it, and then just do the jump. It's a leap of faith, like they say. Like, you have no proof that this is going to work. I literally quit a job that's paying very well to do this on my own. And I only did it because I had the platform ready, like the website, my SEO, my AI tools ready, all set up. And because my husband supported me and he was able to make a living during the time when I was building that business. So it is important to also like not be blind and not jump into it, if there's a risk of homelessness, obviously be smart about it, but definitely dare, because we are our worst critics. Like in my head, I hear the worst comments about myself all day long. Like, you're not good enough. You don't have enough experience. Who are you to tell people about AI? Who are you to perform in this event? You're not even American, or like, you are going to fail. You're a bad mom. Like, all these bad sentences that I say to myself, and it's bringing me down. And I'm just trying to remind myself nowadays more and more to talk to me like I would talk to my best friend. Like, not say mean shit. Just be nice. Be a nice person, and give creative supportive criticism, something that will help me get better. So it is a lot about being in a strong mindset, not bringing yourself down, believing that you can see a vision of like where this is going, having a support system, and take a leap of faith. It's all three.
Yeah, totally agree. Thank you, Noam.
Thank you.
That's a great Great way to end it. And I asked you some of this at the beginning, but what is the thing that could be business, could be personal, that you're more excited about today, that you're learning, maybe that you're working on?
I am working on establishing myself as an authority online for handling, the operational side of a business with AI. And I'm going to start releasing more content about it. And I'm going to speak on an online summit at the end of this month in like a wedding industry professional summit and I'm a speaker on that list, and I'm gonna have a talk for 30 minutes about how I use AI to manage my business. So I'm gonna be doing all of these things, all of the above. I'm gonna be creating content in that world of AI, and I have my Sunny Entertainment business, my band, as a vocalist and as a talent agency that I'm creating. And I'm gonna be a mom and a wife, and hopefully get pregnant again this year. And that's it. All the things. My mom calls me nonstop Noam. That's my name at home.
That might be the title of this episode too.
That's great. I love it.
And that, what is a good way to reach out to you if people want to support your business as well?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be on Instagram at Noam Wolf Music. That's my personal one where I'm gonna share content about AI and how I use it for my business and my personal life. And I also have my sunnyjazz.band Instagram, which is for the band. That will be two places where you can find me, and our website for my company. If you have an event anywhere in the US, a corporate or a wedding, and you would like to hire us, and the website is sunnyjazz.band. And that's it. I mean, it's very easy to find me online. I'm practically in any platform you have. So I'm sure they'll find me.
Thank you so much, Noam. I know you.
Thank you. I had a great time talking to you.
Yeah, me too. I learned so much as well, and excited for the things that you're building and listening to your music more. Well, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That was Noam Wolf. What really stayed with me from this conversation is how intentional she's been with the decisions that she's made in her life, both personally and professionally. And she has approached every challenge with curiosity instead of waiting till she feels that something is complete. If you want to learn more about her company, and her work, you can find all of our links in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, I really appreciate it if you share it with someone who might connect with Noam's story. A special thank you to Sydney at Beyond Idling for editing this episode, and you'll also find her information in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.
Just not good enough. Almost there, but not where I wish to be. Tough and just too much aware to those things that I've already done. People who were, now they're gone. Now alone again. Not that it always happened this way. Now I'm completely awake and don't know if I can go back to where I were. Never too close, so I won't hurt. Not at this place that I just hate. Keeping this truth to myself. can